When will people realise that widescreen is not a good ratio for box openings? Anyway, sorry for the clipping, but that's 720p for you. Fujifilm, and now you rant over, let's go over the camera. Now you know why I've been going over that power shot thing, because I got another Fujifilm camera. This is the HS30EXR Finepix. So it's a 16 megapixel camera with a 3-inch LCD, and it contains their award-winning EXR image sensor. It's also got a 30 times optical zoom. But enough of that. Let's go over the box itself. Okay. Again, I'm sorry. This is a problem of 720p, but I wanted to give you the best. Well, I could give you 1080p, but what's the point? There's some receipts. We have your warranty contact details, a quick start guide, and a piece of string, which is actually for the lens cap. So we'll take that out and we'll take this bit out. And here it is. We have the camera itself. I'll just put that back on the table in a moment. As well as this little thing, which is the lens cap. So this is the DSLR for people who don't want a DSLR. Some people may call it a bridge camera, but well, it is basically. You have a strap that goes around your neck, just like a DSLR camera. And it hasn't got any cushioning on the strap, I'm afraid. So, but better than nothing. Interestingly, you don't tend to get this in bridge cameras, but we have a lens hood, and I'll apply that in a moment. I just showed you a battery. The battery is a 7.2 volt battery, so you can't recharge it using the USB port. You have to use the mains cable and this little thing. Yes, you have your own special, like a DSLR, you've got your very own special charger. Very nice figure 8 cable. Oh, what's this? Right. I'll explain this in a moment, but this is your USB cable for connecting it to the PC or Macintosh. And finally, we've got the audio video cable. 3.5mm jack, mono audio and composite video. We'll have a look at that in a moment. So let's do a little bit of a clean up. And here it is. Okay, so let's just go over the lens cap. It's the lens cap you expect. Squeeze, squeeze. Pop it against the lens, let go, and there you go. Where is that? There's a little hole. Might not be able. Yes, you should be able to see it. There's a little hole down there where you put that piece of string from earlier, and then that attaches to that bit, or that bit, preferably that bit, where you put the strap that goes around your neck. Okay, the battery goes in, I'm not going to say a rather peculiar way, because I think this is how DSLRs get their batteries in as well. Usually when you've got a compact, you tug on the little thing and then a little spring would open the door quite enthusiastically. Sadly, that's not the case in this one, and you have to sort of do a bit of a dance move. Right, so you you pull on the little lever and then you pull outwards, and then a little spring enthusiastically opens the door. So interestingly enough, this battery has four pins. We've got our positive, our negative, the temperature sensor, or that's T, or let's see if we can close in on that. Okay, so it's decided not to focus because it's being really naughty, but you've got positive, negative, temperature and S, which I think is data. Usually the S part is used to find out whether you're using a pirated... Oh, there we go, we're focusing. S is usually used to find out whether you're using a third-party battery, and then the firmware in the camera will say, oh, you're using a third-party battery, I refuse to work on principle. That's what the Panasonic Lumix range does, but interestingly enough, if you can focus in on the battery chamber, you should just be about to see it, There's only 2 pins, positive and negative. Okay, so, right, enough of this toot. Let's put the battery in. Goes in with a nice click. That goes in, that goes in. Just go over all the little ports on there. We have the, I think it's plastic, the bit for putting onto a tripod. So you have your tripod screw on the side. That pulls outwards. Let's do that again, but in a more proactive fashion. This door opens up, and then we've got a SD card slot. It's SD only. Fuji no longer support the XD card because it's useless. On the other side we have HDMI. Oh, let's do that. Full-on HDMI. We have a mini USB. So that means you can use all those cheap cables you built up from the early 2000s onwards. It's useful on this one. Fuji are no longer using a proprietary USB format. And we have another 2.5mm jack. Did I say 3.5 earlier? Sorry about that. It's a 2.5mm jack. Just like the PowerShot earlier on. So Fuji haven't changed on that front. An interesting one, bridge cameras don't tend to have a hot shoe at the top, but if you want to have an external flash or a remote release thing, then the hot shoe is available. This is what makes the HS range a bit more interesting than the other bridge cameras you get available. We'll just, be a bit more positive. What we have is a flash, internal flash. Yay. We have that. Let's do that nice and close up. You might want to see it in action. Internal flash. Oh, sorry, my thumb was in the way. Internal flash. Ah, very nice. Okay, we have an electronic viewfinder with a little sensor that tells whether you're actually looking through it, and then it will shut off the LCD screen. The LCD screen comes out, so it goes in various little angles, which is very nice. The only downside is that it doesn't go there, it doesn't flip out that way, so you can't do a selfie. Well, you can do a selfie, just that it's going to be less effective. We've got our various buttons. Unlike the Olympus I did in my last checkup, in my last box opening, there's no jog wheel. There's no jog wheel. You have to use joypad controls with a fire button in the middle, another button. That's the autofocus exposure lock. That's your video record. There's your image playback. There's display and back. There's the button for manually changing viewing option. So between there and there. And then there's a whole host of buttons down here where you can change the ISO, the exposure, the focus. You can choose whether autofocus or manual focus. This is a special thing, a very special thing about the Fuji cameras. and the white balance. Okay, so far so ordinary. This is a bridge camera, which is only just a little bit better than a compact camera. So where's the zoom options? Because where you'd expect the zoom option down there is actually on and off. Huh? Could it be this bit? Or no, that's the tuning knob that you get on DSLRs. We've got multiple snapshot options, and we've got exposure compensation as well, just to go over things. At the front we've got not one microphone but two microphones, and here's our little autofocus light up there. Just have a play with that flash again. Ha 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 ha. I like it when it does clicky things like that. Another interesting feature about this camera is that it's got a screw on the inside, or it's got a screw thread on the inside. 58mm filters will actually go onto this camera. You don't usually get that on bridge cameras. So again, the question is, where's the zoom? How do I zoom? It's manual. You have to twist it. It's manual zoom. And if you can focus on the sides, it actually tells you the 35mm equivalent and the digital camera focus length. So that's a nice little visual thing as well. Not only is there autofocus, but there's also a manual focus option, but it's going to be a little bit tricky me showing this to you. Let's do it like this. Okay, there's not only is there the big wheel for altering the zoom, but there's also a little manual focus wheel on the inside. That's very nice. And so I think I've gone over the entire camera, so let's see what it's actually like to use. Okay, so let's go underway. Let me just flip this. Let me just plug you in. The cable's about, what, 1.5 meters long, 1.2 meters. There's not an awful lot of reach, so excuse me if everything seems a bit cramped. Let's turn you on. Okay, I've got the green light on my camera, and there we go. We've got the start menu. So what am I? I'm English, and there's quite a bit of lag going on. I apologise. Internal memory is full. Insert a new card. That's because I was a bit too dim and forgot to put the card in. Okay, there should be no problem though. We have EXR. Actually, no. If you afford me a jump cut, then I will get this done properly. Oops, I just forgot to mention how you actually put the lens hood on. You don't tend to get this in bridge cameras neither. So the hood goes on pretty much in the same way as you do for a DSLR. You, somewhere in here there should be a little point. Oh, there it is. So point up there, dot up there. It just slides in nice and neatly, and then you rotate, and then it should click on, and there you go. There's your lens hood in the right orientation. Okay, welcome back. I apologise for that issue. So currently what I'm in at the moment, according to that mode dial, is EXR mode. This is Fuji's massive, super amazing, ultra perfect mode, according to them. So long you're willing to have half the resolution, then you apparently get better pictures. What better pictures? Well, let's have a look at the menu and let's find out. Once I wait for the lag. The lag is not the fault of the camera, it's actually the fault of my recording software, so this will be a pain in the bum. We have the EXR Auto, of which the camera will decide what the scene is and what you're after based on 21 different scenarios, believe it or not. You can choose resolution priority, so would you like everything to be nice and crisp, or shooting subject to detail? Would you like the dynamic range to be sort of stretched out? So would you like an HDR type photo, or are you shooting in low light, so you would like to use high ISO, but of course if you're using a high ISO sensitivity, then you've got the issue of noise, so we need to get rid of that noise. Again, you risk half of the resolution of the image, but apparently the results are better. Let's move on to your other modes. On the mode dial, we have fully automatic mode, we have ADV mode, which I think is, let's just double check, pin sharp focus for subject with soft background. And then the next one is our special program 1 mode, of which you can choose all the different scenarios available to you. This one is automatically set to portrait, which of course, because I've got 2 of the settings, means that the second one is going to be landscape, because that is the direct opposite of portrait mode. We have a panorama mode, of which you take a snapshot and then you have to scan the camera around the room, and then hopefully that'll end up with a nice pretty image. We have your custom mode, so you can fine-tune all the different settings on the camera, all the fine-tuning, all the settings. You've got manual mode, where you can set the shutter speed, the ISO, the aperture, and the other thing which I can't remember. You've got aperture priority mode, which is where you're going to get all your lovely little bokeh effects. Of course, that's what you expect. The dial, the little dial next to the mode dial, tunes it. So we've got 5.6, so we can go all the way down to f8. And if you half press the shutter, you can see that everything just looks a little bit dark. That's because the aperture is tiny. Okay, this room is well lit, so you can't really see it. It's a bit subtle. And you can go all the way to the other side, which is f2.8. And then this is where you get the nice sharp close-up, nice sharp focus, but with a blurred background. This is aesthetically pleasing. So the only way that you can actually find out how your image will look, blurred background and all, you'll have to half press the shutter. There is no lock version, although there is an auto exposure, auto focus lock. That's only going to sort out the focus and the exposure. You have your shutter priority mode, so you can change the shutter. You've got your program mode, which yeah, I've completely forgotten, but I'm sure you don't particularly care. You want me to carry on, well, get the heck on with this. So what else do we have? We have macro mode, whether I'm going to be able to choose this, what with the lag between my monitor. So you have your macro and you have your super macro. You've got various flash options, but the thing is that button isn't going to work. I'm clicking it right now because the flash is not out and the hot shoe isn't being used, so I'll have to push the flash button, and that releases our flash, and now I can use the flash options available to me. I'm going to close the flash now. There we go, and the flash thing goes away. The self timer, as you can expect, 2 seconds, 12 seconds, or just don't bother at all. Finally, let's go over the menu, because that's what you might want to see. You might want to find out what the menu looks like. You can choose ISO, of which you have the option of choosing a specific ISO, or you can ask it to automatically choose an ISO value, but limit itself to 3200, 1600, 800 or 400, so just to make sure that the camera doesn't go absolutely crazy. Your other options also include your image size. These go down, what is it? We've got 16 megapixel, 14, 12, 10, 864, 2, 1 and 330 kilopixel. The image quality, as you'd expect, would be fine or normal. You can alter the dynamic range. Film simulation, Fuji, back in the old days, so to speak, created various different films, ones that would have hushed tones, one that would have dynamic colour. And so they've got those three options, normal, vivid or hushed tones, based closely using Fuji Labs' marvellous analog to digital reproduction technology, blah blah blah. You got your white balance shift. You can choose the colour again, so it can be vivid, mid or hushed tones, that kind of thing. Or you can choose the tone, vivid, mid or hushed. The sharpness is how you expect it to be. It can be a little bit blurry, it can be a bit over sharp. You've got your noise reduction technology, and you've got your intelligent sharpness. So try to figure out when is it best to actually do your sharpness, or when to bother and when not to bother. Intelligent digital zoom, as a rule of thumb, never activate the digital zoom. There's no point. Advanced anti-blur, because I don't have it on automatic mode, it's not going to give me that option. You got the option of face detection, face recognition, so I think it memorizes up to 16 faces. So what you can do is you can point it at someone's face, use this option, and then what is it, when you're done and then you visit that person again and you try to take a photograph of them, it says, oh, it was that person. It's quite useful if you forget people's names as well. You've got the movie mode, so you've got your various different resolutions. You can go full HD, you can go 720p, and you've got your slow motion modes as well. So long you're willing to risk resolution, you can go at some very swift speeds. Let's see, how is this? 80 frames per second I think is about half speed, or you can go quarter speed, or you can go eighth speed. It's a very fast one, 320 frames per second, as I'm sure you can figure out. Still shooting in movie, this should be standard. By default, it already puts the auto exposure bracket in third steps, but that's if you're interested in exposure bracketing. The flash, do you want it to be super powerful? Do you want it to be a little bit lowered down? Do you have an external flash? Well, I don't at the moment. Custom setup for when you use the C setting on your mode dial. The electronic level is an amazing gimmick. Turn it on, and if we escape this menu, if we escape the menu, then what happens is that you get a little line that tells you whether you're tilting too much, and then when you're just in the right area, it goes green. There you go, perfect line up. Take a snapshot. Very nice. Okay, let's go back to the other options in the menu before I run out of time today. For some reason it's not letting me have a look at the menu. Let me have a look at the menu, thank you. Press left, press down, press right. So what are the settings? You've got your date and time, you've got the time difference if you're going abroad, you've got the language, of which you saw earlier on, there are a multitude of them. You've got silent mode, so if you're in a place where silence is golden and you don't want a snapshot noise and you don't want, well, you don't want things going beep 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 or shutter, then, well, basically you've got a silent mode. This microphone's still being a pain in the bum, so excuse me. You can reset the settings, you can format the card or the internal memory. You've got an image display if you want to do your chimping. There's your frame number, which is continuous or renew. Your operation volume can be louder or quieter, or you can turn it off completely. Same with the shutter volume. There are two different shutter sounds, shutter 1, shutter 2, shutter 1, shutter 2, shutter 1. So let's go back, and then we'll go down for your playback volume, and then we'll go down for your LCD brightness, monitor sunlight mode, which basically just brightens up the whole LCD screen. When you're using the viewfinder or the LCD, do you want it to be at 30 frames per second and have a less than smooth view of your image, but you're saving battery? Or would you like it to be as fast as it can, 50 frames per second, and so you get a nice smooth live view, but at the sacrifice of battery longevity? Let's go back. We got the auto power off after 2 minutes. There's a quick start mode, but the thing is this drains the battery faster. What does the function button do at the top of the camera? I think it is. What does the function button do? Or now you know. You've got your image stabilization mode. You've got red eye removal, your autofocus illuminator. You can turn that on or off depending on whether you like using autofocus. And your lock mode. What happens when you push the lock mode? What happens when you push the lock button? Would you like to shoot in RAW plus JPEG, or do you just want to shoot in JPEGs only? If you know your digital photography, you'll know about RAW. For me, I'm a supporter of Adobe DNG format. Of course, this doesn't have the DNG format, but I'm just saying I support it because I use Photoshop CS3. Focus check. This is if you're using manual focus. I'll show you that last of all. Save the original image if you ever do any alterations in camera. Would you like it to auto-rotate your images? Background color. At the moment it's blue. I'm a bit of a sucker for green, so I'm going to set it up for green. Nice. Guidance display, which tells you what's going on when you change your mode. Video system, you can choose it to be PAL or NTSC. If you choose NTSC, oh no, it's being polite at the moment when I'm choosing NTSC. Don't ask me why. Custom reset, if you want to reset the custom setting on your mode dial. And date stamp. Don't choose a date stamp. Just pointless. Okay, so apart from that, you might want to find out how the manual focus works. So let's just do that before I let off for now. So let's zoom in somewhere that needs a bit of focusing. Okay, at the moment it seems to be rather defocused. So what I'm going to do is, excuse me, what we're going to do is I'm just going to use autofocus for now, and you'll see that it's nice and sharp. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus somewhere totally different so that we get a different focus setting. Just bulk it up. I don't know. Let's try and find something that needs a bit of focus. Yeah, my wonderful PS1 game collection. Okay, so let's change the focus mode to manual. Sorry, this has been a bit awkward, but this is the first time I am playing with this. Excuse me. Manual focus. Yes, I am someone who actually reads the manual. I'm very sorry. You now get a little meter at the bottom. Oh, let's go back to the game collection. Sorry, I had a bit of shaky hand, and again the lag on this thing. So what you got is you got a little meter, and it zooms in to make sure that you're focusing right. So you can twiddle the little focus thing, and it will tell you whether you're close or not. That's all based on your interpretation. Of course, you want to try and get that moving bar into the yellow bit, or where you would like it to be. Of course, that seems appropriate. Push the shutter. You might get a bit of shake because, yep, we're getting a bit of shake because I'm shooting handheld. You get the thing all the way to the right hand side. The closer you are to the right hand side, the sharper your image is. Let's set that on there. Okay, and again, we'll just set our focus. That seems to be as sharp as we can get it. Push the button. Let go. There, a much sharper image. Okay, and that's that. Sorry for taking a bit too long. Of course, the electronic viewfinder has got a diopter adjustment thing, but I still need to wear glasses in order to view it because my eyes are that bad. Okay, thanks for that. And hopefully I'll see you for another box opening. As a side note, this is the image quality at 720p, so we'll just have a little